What's up everyone, welcome back. If you've been on my channel for a while, you've seen this car before. I did a red 46 skid plate install. One of my older videos. It's my M50 swapped 1985 BMW E30. I've had the car for a few years now. It's been super reliable. Now I'm just catching up on maintenance. In this video, we'll be rebuilding the Vanos. I got a kit from Race German, same place I got my intake. If you guys are looking to rebuild your Vanos, I will leave an affiliate link in the description. If you use that, it'll help out the channel a ton. And then also doing an oil change, because that's been due for a pretty long time. If you guys are new to the channel, please like, subscribe, comment. Now let's get started with the video. First, we're going to start off with pulling the valve cover. Also, if you're doing this, make sure you get a new valve cover gasket. I forgot to, but it's easy enough. I can just replace later if it starts leaking again. It's only about a year old. Now that I've got the valve cover off, I also pulled out the radiator, so it gives me a little bit more room. Pull the Vanos out. Also, since we're going to be turning over the engine, it's a good idea to pull the spark plugs out. It'll make it easier. Now that we have all the spark plugs pulled, it's a good idea to put some paper towels down in the spark plug holes to make sure nothing falls in it. Once you get all the spark plug holes covered, you can work on getting the camshaft locking tool on. There's going to be 3 studs that you have to take out. There's one stud at the top of the head here, middle of the head here, you can see that one, and then another one at the bottom down there. They just look like this. It's to hold the valve cover on. Please focus. So you got to take 3 of those out, and then you'll have room to put the cam locking tool in. Make sure the engine's at top dead center. You can look through here, and there is a mark on the harmonic balancer and a mark on the timing cover. Once those are lined up, then you know the crankshaft is at top dead center. Moving around to the cams, good way to tell that the cams are at top dead center is they should be facing towards each other, like at an angle a little bit like this. So you can see those first 2 are pointed there and there. And then you'll know to put this in. Make sure it goes down all the way and is flush, and then you can tighten these, and then you have your cam locking tool in place. Next thing I'm going to do is get the access port plugs undone so that you can get to the front of the cam bolts. Now we have to push down the timing chain tensioner, put either a small Allen or this locking pin that I have through it. Now the slack, there's slack in the chain, so we can unbolt the 4 Torxes on the front of the cam here. Once you have the timing chain pushed down and all 4 of the Torxes on the front of the cam broken loose, you can work on getting all of the 10mm on the front of the Vanos off. Once you get the, what I counted 6, there might be more, I'll find out as I go. 10mm on the front, there will be 2 13mm here and here. Those hold on the engine lift bracket. So once you get those off, we will see what's next. Once you get the bolt from here and down here out, you'll have to get a 19mm wrench and pull the Vanos line off the Vanos solenoid. Make sure you loosen the Vanos line before you loosen the Vanos, because the Vanos wants to move out now that I took that off. So I'm going to put one of the bolts back in, and then undo the Vanos line, and then take the bolt I just put in back out again. Now that I have the Vanos tightened back down, I can get the feed line broken loose, unscrewed, and taken off. The Race German kit I got came with 2 new washers, but if yours did not, then I would make sure you hold on to these, because you need these when the Vanos line goes back on. Now the Vanos is broken loose, and I just covered my intake manifold with oil. I'll get the tool to twist the gears and pull the Vanos off. All right, and now just like that, I forgot to unplug the Vanos solenoid. Now the Vanos is off and in the vise, so I'll get to pulling this part off. Now that we're at this point, I'm gonna pull the 10 millimeters off of here to pull this out. You can tell if someone's worked on it before by looking at the nut on the end of the Vanos right here. If that has a bunch of marks on it, then someone's obviously worked on it. This one is very clean, so I don't think anyone's ever been in here, which is a good thing because 150,000 miles, so this is pretty much bad now. You can hear that bearing is not in very good shape anymore. This socket is a must-have when you rebuild Vanos. It's shaved down so it has no lip on it because of how shallow this is. If you get the kit I got, you can option this or you can make it yourself, but I thought it would just be a lot easier to have it sent in the kit. Now I have the nut off and you can see the bearing. Make sure you keep this washer mounted right here on the nut, just right above the bearing. Make sure you keep this nice and clean, especially for when it goes back in. Here's the old needle bearing. This will get replaced with the new kit. Now this is where you really need to pay attention. This is reverse threaded, so righty-tighty, throw that out the window. It's lefty-tighty, righty-loosey. It's gonna feel weird, but you gotta tighten it and it will come loose. Now make sure you're going righty-loosey. It's not gonna feel right, but it is righty-loosey. Now here, we have the other needle bearing. This is one of the parts we'll be replacing. That's the new one, and that's the old one. And then I also have the new bearings right there, and the old bearings right there. Now we're at this part. Best way to get these out is you just kind of cut down through here, and then you can use a pick and pull it the rest of the way. There's going to be two in here. One on the outside, which is going to be a little bit harder rubber, and then there should be one on the inside, which is supposed to be a lot softer, but it's probably also going to be pretty hard. Two new ones. It's going to be the softer rubber one goes on the inside, and then the Teflon one goes on the outside. Now we're here, got the new Teflon seal around it. Now we'll put the new spacer, or whatever it is, back in. Once we have that in, the next part is going to be one of these needle bearings. That will go in right there. And then your spacer, right here, will go down next. Now this will slide into here. After that, this will go back on. Next to go in here is going to be the needle bearing, and then the washer. Put this back in, and then you're going to put your shallow nut back on. After I got it back together, I found that there was too much play and not enough preload on the bearings, so I took it back apart and get some 400 grit sandpaper. You're going to sand this back and forth about 30 times on each side, well 60 times this way, turn it 90 degrees this way, and then flip it around, do the same thing, and that should take off just enough to where we'll have a good preload on the bearing. Now we've got this sanded down again, we'll go reinstall everything and see if it feels okay. After taking this apart and putting it back together what felt like 100 times, got it right to where it should be. Just a little bit of preload, but you can still turn it easily. But all the slack's out of it now, and that should be plenty for it to break in. Now that the Vanos is all done, you're going to want to do is make sure the surface here is super clean for the new gasket. Just wipe that off, make sure there's no gunk on it. And then take your new gasket and just put it on. Then once the gasket's on, you can make sure that your cams are fully forward. So you're gonna pull it, make sure that's as far as it can go. Then you're all set to put the Vanos back on. Now you have to make sure that this sprocket is pushed all the way in like that, and then you can put it back onto the cam. Now that's in, and we can plug it back in on the other side and tighten everything back up. Now that you have all of the front Vanos nuts tightened down and your engine lift point tightened back on and your Vanos line tightened back on, you can tighten the 4 Torxes on the front of the cam here. Those are 20 Newton meters. Now you have all 4 of those torqued to 20 Newton meters. You can push down on your timing chain tensioner and let it back up slowly. Make sure you do that. That can cause some issues if you leave that in. Then you'll reinstall these and then torque these to 50 Newton meters. Now everything should be timed up. I'm gonna pull the cam locker off and then turn the engine over a couple times by hand to make sure nothing interferes. Looks all good. Next, I'm going to reinstall all of the spark plugs and then valve cover gasket, intake, and it should be all set. Spark plugs are all reinstalled. Now I'm going to put the 3 studs in the back of the head back in, then valve cover, coil packs, and then hook the radiator back up. Then we'll see if she starts. Valve cover's on, coil packs are in, spark plugs are in. Now I just have to put the radiator back in. We'll start it. The intake is also through Race German. I've really liked that too. It really pepped up the car a lot rather than having the cone filter sitting on top of the alternator. So if you want one of those too, also the link below. If you want me to do a review of this intake, leave that in the comments. It'd be pretty short, but overall I've really liked it. It fits well. You can buy an intake like this too. This one I made. They have these through Race German also. I just took the car for a test drive. It drives so much better than it used to. There's a lot more low-end torque. It's a lot smoother overall. And I don't have a rattle anymore, which is the main reason I was doing this. If you guys are looking for a kit, I highly recommend the Race German one. It went very smoothly. Again, with the link in the description, I'll have an affiliate link. It will help out the channel a ton. If you stayed until the end, thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe. Any questions or comments, leave those down in the comments. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.